I've learned a lot of things in this life. One of the things I've learned recently, or which has come close to my heart recently, is knowing when to let go of the old version of yourself. The old version of yourself that no longer serves you. The old version of self that has led you up to this point now. But you come to a realization where you're like, man, I can no longer take this person with me. I can no longer move forward with who I am now. I have to move forward with the ideal version of myself that I'm moving towards. And listen, honestly, I don't want to approach this in a matter of like I'm grieving or like it's a deep loss. If anything, it's just me embracing and accepting where I am and who I am and what no longer serves me. You see it all the time with people who peaked in high school. Let's use that as an example. People that peaked in high school, you see them 10, 20 years later and they're the same person. And you think like, damn, people just didn't grow. People just didn't choose the elevated version of themselves. And when I like zoom out of that idea or that law of life, it's like, I understand. I understand how someone can just not elevate and execute a higher version of themselves, because people have their own different layers of consciousness. People will only meet you as far as their perspective allows them to. And I felt like I was experiencing like my own version of that, where my mindset shifted, like things I was into and things I like to consume, most importantly create, were different than what I was used to. Like I came to this realization point where I'm like, I can't move forward with the ideal elevated version of myself if I'm still thinking the same, if my interests are still the same. Mind you, this isn't some big 360 revelation. It's an accumulation of small steps where I had to kind of look back and be like, I'm changing. And that's something beautiful to embrace and accept, because being in my early 30s now, I'm completely different to who I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And that's okay. Everything must evolve, I believe. I started to feel it when relationships don't hit the same. Interests don't hit the same. Values have increased. Things I was into before, like drinking, smoking, clubbing, partying, all of that stuff, man, like I was deep in that in my 20s. And this could be like that's what maturing is. That's what maturity is. But yeah, given that as a fact, but I've seen people just completely miss that boat. Like I've seen people just still in the same sort of buzz, and I had to remove myself from certain things that no longer serve me. And that's okay. It can be a weird place to be in, but you have to keep going, man. And sure, I had a great time experiencing and writing out those chapters, but it comes to an end. I'll feel very guilty and bitter and full of resentment if I was to carry on this life, knowing that I'm just carrying around old baggage and old weight, and I'm just dragging this anchor, which makes my life that much difficult. All I have to do is just let go of that, You have to be okay with being disliked. You have to be okay with being misunderstood, because I spent too much time giving a fuck. I spent too much time not speaking up. I spent too much time being a yes man and a people pleaser, but there was a deep calling in my heart knowing that I can't go on living like that. I can't go on people pleasing. Like I have to put myself first. I have to have a healthy amount of selfishness. You have to be okay with reinventing yourself and putting your new self out there for people who already know you, people who already have context about you, people who already know your history. You have to be okay with being like, look, that's who you knew. That's what you're used to. And I know I have a huge responsibility for that, but times have changed now. And you have to like move forward and become that bigger, better version of yourself that you're always destined to be. And if people can't accept that, fuck them. That's not your problem. That's not your responsibility. Because most times everyone's insecure, right? But people become more insecure when they find out that you're doing well in your life, and not with a measurement of materialistic things. None of that. It's just an internal growth that people can feel. People can feel that shit. And if people have a problem with it, guess what? That is not your problem. It's knowing that like you can rewrite your reputation, you can rewrite your story, you can start over again. And that's okay. That's meant to happen. You're meant to evolve and climb up, fuck up, repeat. As long as you're moving forward, as long as you have good intentions, as long as you're fine tuning your frequency to match the things you want in your life. If I'm going into my life with the same frequency and the same intentions that I had 10 years ago, I'm only going to be repeating the cycle. Again, I said I'll only become bitter and full of resentment, and I'll be a fucking shitty person to people. I don't want that. So what I have to do is fully affirm and be certain with who I want to become, because I can no longer walk into this world with an outdated software. I have to update that shit. I have to update that shit. And the best way for me to update that shit is to remove myself from the old software that lags in today's body, that lags in today's mind. You know, it's all about that mindset shift. It will always come down to that. It's a great place to be. It's a great revelation to have. It's a great genesis to have, to know that you can just let go of the old. It can be sad because you're letting go of a whole huge part of yourself that was always there. You know, I'm 31 years old and I'm getting rid of like 20, 30 years worth of fucking outdated software. Like I said, I lived out those moments. There were some highs. There were some great highs, euphoric highs, but then there was also some painful, lonely lows. And I'll remember both. And I'll use both to mold this new version of myself and step into my greatness and pursue myself and record the process and to trust the process, to trust God more, to trust myself more, to believe in myself more. And I know there's a ton of you out there that feel the same way. And the whole point of my video is to share this. There's a lot of powerful meaning in just speaking these things out loud and to have them documented, to keep accountability and responsibility. Man, I'm all about that. Break out of your old self. The breakthrough is here. It's always been here and it's always been yours. The more you break out, the more you go with God, the more the devil recognizes that and he wants to be more of an asshole to you, putting all these barriers, hurdles, and inconveniences in your way. But that's the test, you know? You can't run through these tests with the old way of being, you know? This is the way things are gonna go now. But it all starts with you. It all starts with you and making that choice. It's 2026. We are in the third month of 2026. You don't want to be repeating the same life. You don't want to be the same as person. You have to grow at your speed, obviously, at your speed. I must emphasize that. At your own pace. Only compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Everything else is just noise. Clock in. You can do it. I don't want to end on no corny note, but honestly, it's fucking yours. It's fucking go. Love ya.